Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC MMA Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I am your co-host, Sarah. I am joined by Tate, and we have a great show for you today. We will be covering potential replacement options for UFC 303, Saturday's boxing match between Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva. And stick around for segment 3 when we will be talking about Dustin Poirier's comments after UFC 302. Before we start, I would like to remind you to like and follow the show. Also, we do get a number of comments and questions that come in during a show. So if you go to gsmcpodcast.net, you can leave a tip or a donation that will put your question at the top of our queue, ensuring that we see it. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net. Tate, how are you doing?
Hello, Miss Sarah. We're here to talk. We're going to be talking a little MMA.
A little boxing, which is unusual for us.
I like it. Okay.
Yes. So, all right, let's go ahead and I don't know why I switched to two persons when I could have just stayed over here. But anyway, it's all good. As UFC 303 approaches, uncertainty looms over the highly anticipated matchup between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, scheduled to headline the event during International Fight Week. The excitement took a sudden turn when a press conference in Dublin, Ireland, intended to build anticipation for the fight, was abruptly postponed just hours before its scheduled start on June 3rd. This unexpected delay has left fans and the MMA community speculating about the fate of the bout. Ariel Helwani's recent reports added fuel to the uncertainty, initially suggesting the UFC's optimistic outlook regarding McGregor's participation. However, subsequent developments have painted a more fluid picture, with the organization exploring potential replacements amidst continued ambiguity from McGregor and Chandler's camps. The situation remains in flux as the UFC strives to secure a viable main event for UFC 303. In light of these developments, attention has turned to several potential contenders who could step into the spotlight should McGregor be unable to compete. One prominent candidate is Max Holloway, a former opponent of McGregor and one of the sport's most accomplished featherweights, known for his striking prowess and fan-friendly fighting style. Holloway's recent foray into the lightweight division, coupled with his impressive performance against Justin Gaethje, has positioned him as a compelling replacement option. Another contender in the discussion is Alexander Volkanovski, the former UFC featherweight champion, known for his versatility and willingness to take fights on short notice. Despite recent setbacks, Volkanovski's experience and fighting spirit makes him a credible candidate to challenge Chandler in a potential headline bout. His previous willingness to step up on short notice underscores his commitment to the sport and readiness to seize opportunities. Arman Tsarukyan has also emerged as a contender following his standout victory over Charles Oliveira at UFC 300, solidifying his status as a top lightweight contender. A matchup between Tsarukyan and Chandler could serve as a pivotal moment in Tsarukyan's career, providing an opportunity to showcase his skills against a seasoned opponent and potentially elevate his profile within the division. From a strategic standpoint, each potential replacement offers distinct advantages and narratives that could appeal to fans and maintain the event's competitive integrity. The UFC faces the challenge of balancing star power with competitive matchups, ensuring that UFC 303 remains a must-watch event for MMA enthusiasts worldwide. Now, Tate, we talked about this yesterday, and had some thoughts about the event itself, but now they're talking about potential replacements. What are your thoughts on the three that were speculated upon?
All three of these would be great fights. All three. And as I start thinking about it, and as I'm thinking about some of the fights and going through, there's two that really stick out in my head. The first one, Volkanovski versus Chandler. If you're talking about, a fight where there's two guys that's going to come in there and really lay it completely out on the line, styles-wise, that fight is going to deliver fireworks. Two guys that are very similar in many ways. I kind of look at both of these. This would be a fight that I would love to see as far as producing action. You're not going to get in the ring with Chandler with Michael Chandler is going to, he has that go ahead, confront you style that's going to force action. Volkanovski is a person that will not wither from the pressure, and actually embrace the pressure that Chandler brings in. So I thought that's an interesting fight. But if you're looking at this and what we know about this coming up event is it was the fastest sellout in UFC history. The seats, I mean, there's, this event has been selling like crazy. And these people are coming to see a blockbuster headline. Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor. There's going to be some upset people if Conor doesn't show. I could see this being a situation where, it does not look, if Conor doesn't show, this is not going to look good on him. And might I say, this is when Conor has to start thinking about, is he done with the MMA world? Especially when you look at and you say, the last time since 2016 that Conor won, he won the double champ. He's won one time since 2016. It's 2024. Now, a lot of that's been inactivity, but is this the end of Conor as far as should he start thinking about giving it up? Now, but if you're the UFC and you have a bunch of people that are coming to see Conor McGregor and you're looking for a box office fight, there's only one fight. Chandler versus Max Holloway. No one's going to be disappointed if you have Chandler versus Max Holloway, two marquee names. If you're not going to have Conor McGregor, there's going to be some disappointment. But if you come in there and you say, we're going to replace McGregor, I know you're disappointed, but we're going to give you Max Holloway versus Michael Chandler, I'm signing up for that. I'm signing up for it. I'm not disappointed at all. Actually, these two match up really well. Neither one of these guys are afraid to back down. You think about Max, the last round, pointing at the center of the ring and saying, let's go. Well, guess what? Chandler is that guy to say, I'm all in. Let's go to the middle of the ring and let's let it fly. Chandler Max Holloway fight would be the perfect replacement fight. If you're looking at star power plus action, all three fights are great fights. But if you're thinking about worrying about pay-per-view dollars, pay-per-views being canceled, you're not going to have a lot of cancels putting Max Holloway in there against Chandler. That's a dream fight any UFC fan is going to want to see. Also, it's going to bring, like Conor McGregor, those casual fans. Now, I'm not saying Max pulls in the Conor McGregor numbers, but Max is maybe a level or so down from that. But he is box office. He is a guy that people will want to see. You look at the Styles mates fight. That is a fight that's going to deliver. Though that fight is a fight of the night candidate before you even step into the octagon. Okay, buckle my seatbelt. These two are not going to disappoint. So if you're going to lose Conor, you have to do that. But I look at this and I start thinking about this, and I said this could be the end of Conor. I don't mean it as in like, the UFC is going to be done with him. Not at all. But you look around and it's just been extended layoff after extended layoff for him. Problem after problem. it's not a place, the UFC is not a place to be a part-time fighter. And I feel like that's what Conor McGregor has become, is a part-time fighter. Everyone wants to see him. I want to see him. But when you look at how long it's been since he's won, that was Cowboy Cerrone. Since he was the double champ, he's won one time since 2016. He has so many other things going on. I'm not saying he's not worth seeing. I'm not saying that he is not a great fighter. But when you look at it and you say how long it's been since he's really had a big win, how long he goes between fights, the fact that he's coming off of a broken leg with Dustin Poirier, when he fought Dustin Poirier, it is that time to start thinking about, is it time for him to step away? Doesn't mean he can't be in the eye, but setting up pay-per-view events for a guy that you're not sure is going to show up, that's a part-time fighter, I don't think that's a good thing. It doesn't, I don't feel like it supports the fans or respects the game enough anymore. Conor, I feel like his actions make it so that he's kind of become, I don't want to say bigger, that he thinks he's bigger than the game. I'm not putting him down. I'm just saying it's hard to rely on a Conor McGregor as far as making him your marquee event, because you're not sure what's going to happen. Can you put that event on? And this is disappointing, because I was really looking forward to this Chandler fight, and I thought Conor could win. Not only did I think Conor could win, I thought he was going to win by spectacular knockout, which is going to set him up for some other big fights. But if he drops out of this, it's a disappointment.
Well, any change in a lineup can cause issues for an event, but when it is the main event of a pay-per-view of a major event with someone who garners as much,
it's Conor McGregor,
you're gonna have, it's gonna cause issues. And I think regardless of how anyone feels about Conor and his status as a fighter, it's something that needs to be looked at and potentially addressed.
It's kind of like if you buy Taylor Swift concert tickets, you're like, wow, I got front row seats to see Taylor Swift. And I don't know, Kelly Clarkson, Taylor Swift cancels for the fifth time. And you got Kelly Clarkson. People are happy to see Kelly Clarkson, but she's not Taylor Swift. I'm going to be upset.
Well, especially if it's the fifth time that it's been.
You know?
And maybe you had tickets every time.
Yeah. It's not good. So.
Well, we are going to take our first break for this segment. When we come back, we'll be talking about Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva and their boxing match this weekend. You're tuned into the GSMC MMA Podcast, and we will be right back.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC MMA podcast. In segment 1, we were talking about UFC 303, the possibility of Conor McGregor maybe not being there, and who could be a potential replacement for him in that event. As we go into segment 2, I do want to remind you that we do get questions and comments that come in during the show. If you want your question at the top of the list, you can go to gsmcpodcast.net, leave a tip or a donation, and that will ensure that we see that question. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net, and it really does support the show and the network. As we head into this next segment, we are talking boxing as opposed to, that is last segment. Give me 1 second. Some days are like this, and it's not even Monday. We are talking Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva. This is an article from Yahoo Sports, and it's got some extensive quotes from Tate. So, before YouTube existed, Chael Sonnen waited for it. The ultimate practitioner awaiting his ultimate trade. All those years in the UFC, the years on the wrestling mats before that, now it seems like it was just a preamble. All designed to give him stories to tell and expertise to lean on as he holds court for his 1.28 million subscribers. Because really, what could suit this man more? His whole fight career, he barely stopped talking long enough for them to put the mouthpiece in. Sonnen was born to sit there in his custom-built studio, telling stories and cracking jokes into a camera, layering deadpan wit over surprisingly sincere asides until his audience is unsure what's real and what's just for laughs. All this is to say, a second career as a commentator and tireless content creator seems to be going incredibly well for Sonnen. So why, at 47 and with a wealth of experience as a grappler but absolutely zero fights as a boxer, would he decide to put on the big gloves and fight his old foe Anderson Silva on Saturday in South Hollow? According to Sonnen, the boxing aspect of this fight is at least partially the result of a negotiation strategy gone wrong. He says, I was dealing with Anderson and Masvidal in the same week. All of a sudden, Chael P is in high demand, which I wasn't even interested, but they weren't interested in me either. This wasn't like I was pushing people away. My phone wasn't ringing for those kinds of reasons, but all of a sudden, I get a call from Taylor over at Misfits Boxing, who wants to do a fight with Masvidal. He asked, hey, what rule set? I got Masvidal on the other line. I texted him back, let him choose. That scared him. I said, let him choose. That Team Masvidal backed down. I never heard a word again. There was something about that. They backed down. Tried the same thing on Anderson. He didn't back down. He said, great, boxing rules. So here we are. Before we go any further, there's something you should know about any interview with Sonnen. His answers aren't always meant to be taken literally. They're meant, first and foremost, to entertain. Sometimes that entertainment even dovetails with the topic at hand. It can be hard to know what's supposed to be an accurate representation of the situation and what's in there just because it sounds good. Despite a successful second career, this too is what makes Sonnen so good at the role he's crafted for himself at this stage in his life. These days, he's a professional talker. So let's get into some of those quotes. When he realized Silva wanted to fight him for what may or may not be a genuine retirement bout, Sonnen said he was flattered as well as surprised. I didn't know I mattered to him, Sonnen said. I knew that we had some moments together, but in the body of his career, he had moments with other guys. He had title fights with other guys. He had strenuous fights, and he had the media wanting his attention, and he had pay-per-views, and he had big paychecks with other guys. I didn't. I just have him. Every big moment where somebody might come up to me and pay me a compliment, it has to do with him. Whether it was a press conference or it was something said, or maybe we met it was a fight that they came to or they watched on TV. But for me, they all tied to him. I fought 51 men. People don't know about the other 50. Everything in my career does tie to Anderson. I didn't know I was special to him. Still, Sonnen admitted, when a guy selects you as the opponent for a farewell fight in his home country, you can't help but realize that he probably didn't pick you because he thinks you're going to beat him up. It's no secret that striking is Silva's specialty. When Sonnen became a much better striker over the course of his career, it will always be just something he did in between takedowns. So I don't really care about the rules, Sonnen said. I'm going to try to beat him. And one thing I don't like and one thing I will not do, and I'm not attempting to now, is to feather the nest for a fall. Oh, I didn't have time to train. Oh, I was only in the room with my son. Oh, boxing isn't my thing. I don't care if we're doing a cook-off. It's me versus him. This is my final shot to beat the guy who I've never beaten at anything. He keeps me up at night. He haunts me. I will be devastated if I lose this fight, and I will never come to you and tell you what the rules were. I will kick him in the nuts if I have to. I'm going to bring this man down. I got 4 rounds to do it, and mark my words, I will not screw this one up. I know that was a bit long, but you needed to get all of that chillness in there.
Okay, first off, Anderson Silva.
I mean,
in my opinion, I don't know if you say he's the greatest of all time. In my eyes, I think he's the most talented. It's either him or John Jones. It's the greatest 2 MMA fighters of all time. I know
impressive.
He ended his career maybe not the way people would have liked. Maybe he stayed a little longer. The whole boxing career as well. But man, I love Anderson. Met him a couple of times. One of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Now, this snuck up on me. I didn't realize that Anderson was retiring, that he was having one last fight. And if you ask me, okay, Anderson is retiring. Who do you want to see Anderson fight as his last fight ever? The first person to come to mind would be George St. Pierre. Maybe some people would say John Jones. But it'd be a very short list. It'd be St. Pierre, maybe John Jones, Chael Sonnen. That would be my big 3 that I would love to see Anderson Silva have his final fight with. And we're getting that. It's it's not in a UFC or MMA cage. It's not in the UFC at all. It's going to be a boxing match. But for one last time to see Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen in Sao Paulo for Anderson's final fight, I love it. I don't know how serious this is going to be. I hope it's not that serious, to be honest with you, because Anderson has been training boxing for a while. Anderson, even if they never trained boxing, Anderson is the far superior striker. Chael's a wrestler, always has been a wrestler. So I don't really see this as more of a competitive bout. But what I do see is a piece of legacy. Seeing Chael Sonnen one more time, Chael P. Sonnen in the ring one more time against Anderson Silva is amazing. I remember when it first went down, I hated Chael. I was Team Silva, and he was this guy that said all this crazy stuff. And then seeing the second one and seeing how the first one, Chael dominated the fight, and Anderson got him at the very end. And then the rematch and how big that was. And Chael's right. Anderson has had mega fights with many, many other fighters. And if you think about it, and Chael's being kind of light as well. Chael has had some pretty major events. Not on the level that Anderson Silva has, but Chael has as well. But it's weird to say 2 guys are about to get into the ring this weekend to fight, and it's a feel-good story. But that's exactly what it is. I'm hoping that I don't know the rules with this, but I'm hoping they're going to use big gloves. I don't want to see Chael get hurt. I don't want to see Anderson get hurt. I'm hoping that this fight will go the distance. We'll be able to see 2 of our legends kind of ride off in the sunset. Anderson wins in his hometown. Chael looks good. And Chael collects a check. You know Chael's gonna want that check.
Well, sure.
Chael gets a check. Anderson gets the legacy event. You can't go wrong on this one. I will be watching this. This will be crazy enough. This will be my number 1 thing I'm gonna watch this weekend. I watch a little NBA I'm gonna watch the NBA finals.
Oh,
but
sure.
This is my top event.
Yeah, I want it to be kind of a perfect storm of a fight. I want it to. I don't want it to be over in round one. I don't want it to be over in the first couple of minutes. I wanted to go the distance. I want it to be competitive, but again, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want it. If you could tie it up with a nice little bow, I just want it to be.
Go the distance,
Fun, competitive, but leaves them both in a good light and makes us I just want it to be feel good.
As a matter of fact, I don't even mind if Chael actually tackles Anderson at some point in a lighthearted way.
I don't want him to do what he said he was going to do, kicking him in the area.
Yeah. And I love seeing the press conference and Anderson hugging on him. Anderson's a good guy, ladies and gentlemen. Anderson is an amazing guy. I've been fortunate to meet a number of MMA fighters, and Uriah and Anderson are the two that I've met that I have the best feelings with.
I did not know you met Anderson.
Yes.
I knew you met Uriah.
Yeah, so those two are two
You're holding out on your co-host.
the two people that I've had the best experience with. Excited about this one. This isn't like the Tyson Jake Paul fight where I'm looking at this is a real fight. I don't look at this as a real fight. I'm actually hoping that it is not a real fight. I'm hoping it's an exhibition between two old rivals who have now become friends, who are about to sail off in the sunset together as friends. I think it's perfect.
Absolutely. Again, I want it wrapped up in a nice little bow. if I can have my wish, it's not about me. We are going to go ahead and take our second break of this episode. When we come back for our final segment, we will be talking about Dustin Poirier's comments after UFC 302. You are tuned into the GSMC MMA podcast, and we will be right back.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube.
Welcome back to the GSMC MMA podcast. In the first segment, we were talking about UFC 303. In the second segment, we just talked about Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva's upcoming boxing match on Saturday in Sao Paulo. And now, as we move into segment 3, we're moving a little backwards. We were talking about UFC 303. Now we are talking about UFC 302 and some comments that Dustin Poirier made after that. UFC 302 delivered on its promise of a highly anticipated main event between Islam Makhachev. You know what? I looked it up. I pronounced it a bunch of times. And Dustin Poirier showcasing the relentless battle for the lightweight title. Islam emerged victorious in the 5th round via Darcy choke, highlighting his dominance in grappling exchanges despite Poirier's resilience in striking exchanges on the feet. Throughout the fight, Poirier demonstrated superb defensive skills in avoiding takedowns and engaging effectively in boxing, exploiting movements where he could capitalize on Islam's vulnerabilities. However, the physical toll was evident as both fighters sustained significant injuries, with Poirier revealing post-fight that he battled through damaged ribs, a broken nose, and a partially torn ACL. In a poignant moment on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, Poirier expressed his acceptance of the fight's outcome and hinted at potential retirement plans had he won the lightweight title. Reflecting on his journey and the impact of UFC 302, Poirier contemplated retiring as champion, but acknowledged that the fight unfolded as destined for his story. Despite falling short in his quest for the lightweight title, Poirier's legacy in MMA remains formidable. With a record of 30-9 in the UFC, including notable wins and memorable battles, Poirier holds a special place in the fans' hearts and is widely regarded as one of the best fighters never to capture an undisputed title. His journey, marked by highs and lows, culminated in significant moments such as his interim lightweight championship over Max Holloway at UFC 236. As Poirier weighs his future in the sport, the MMA community awaits his decision with anticipation, recognizing his potential induction into the UFC Hall of Fame and his lasting impact on the sport. So if he'd won, he said he would retire. No word on what he plans on doing next, but what are your thoughts?
Okay, first off, let's talk about that fight. And that was a little while ago. Not that long ago, but looking at this fight, the thing that made me so surprised was I figured Islam would be just like Khabib. I mean, he's a beast on the ground. But against a guy like Dustin Poirier, I thought Dustin would have the superior would be the superior striker, and that wasn't the case. The thing with Islam is, like Khabib was just unworldly. His ground game is unworldly, but his game is, if you want to stand with him, he can punish you standing. He's an elite striker. He's beyond elite grappler. I thought Dustin did everything possible. You could tell he was on a mission to try to win this fight. And just Islam is the, unmovable object. You can't stop him. Whether it was on the ground, standing, he was superior. He was a superior striker. He was a superior grappler. Everything that Dustin could do was bested by Islam. And so that's the thing that was just absolutely surprising to me. Now, Dustin, if Dustin would have won, he hints at that he would have left the belt and his gloves in the ring and he would have retired. This is what I want to talk about. If he would have done that, that would have been the greatest retirement of all time. I was really hoping that George St. Pierre would have done this, or even going forward, I would like to see John Jones in his next fight do this. Because John Jones he's at the end of his career, and as he's been talking about. But no fighter has actually just walked in there, won the belt, and then just took the gloves off and everything and just dropped them there and just thanked everyone and made the fight his retirement party. George St. Pierre, he kind of did that. He won the championship, but he took some time to think about things and entertain other offers before finally relinquishing the titles. I would like, if he would have done that, that would have been so amazing. And then you look at Dustin Poirier, he's fought everyone. He's ducked no one. He's had an incredible career. He's incredibly popular after his 2 wins over against Conor McGregor. He's done it all. Even now, after this loss, I don't want to see him retire quite yet. I feel like there's one more fight left in him. I want to see Dustin Poirier versus Gaethje for the 3rd fight. Poirier won the first one by knockout, strikes. Gaethje, a surprise head kick, knocked out Dustin Poirier. These 2 guys, I don't think you can end it. It's kind of like Chael Sonnen ending and Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva ended his career with Chael Sonnen. I feel like a Justin Gaethje Dustin Poirier fight would be the ultimate way to end things. I would love to see that. Or, I know, just talking here, but, or Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier as their last fight. And here's the reason why. I know Dustin's won the last two, but the last one was strictly because Conor broke his leg. And so you could actually run this back if you could get Conor in the ring. Let's say the Chandler Conor fight falls apart. Imagine this fight: Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, unfinished business. That's the title. Dustin Poirier announces this is his last fight. You probably could say this would be Conor's last fight. That would be one blockbuster retirement bout, or Gaethje versus Poirier. But those are the two fights. I think not yet for Poirier. I think that one more fight is left in him, and I think if you brought either one of those to Dustin Poirier and said, we want to do one last fight. I know you're thinking about retiring. What do you think about a retirement fight where you're matched up with Conor McGregor? Or what do you think about a retirement fight where you're matched up with Justin Gaethje for to settle this? Either way it go, you could promote both of these as unfinished business. Gaethje and him 1-1. McGregor 1, Poirier 2, but the last one was a broken leg. That one doesn't count. It's unfinished business. Both of these would do great business. What do you think?
Well, I like the Justin Gaethje option because it is 1-1, and yeah, you can take into account the broken leg, but it is 1-1 officially. And I do worry that Conor McGregor's, I don't want to say he's not reliable because that maybe isn't fair, but he
it'd be hard to put that one together.
Encountering some obstacles as he's
there's a lot of hurdles to get that done, but I could easily see, especially if Poirier says, hey, this is my last fight, and it gets billed as Dustin Poirier's last fight as he's retiring and it's unfinished business, you could market that. And it would sell. It would sell massively. I know it's kind of counteracting what I was saying about Conor not being, and I think that's a great word. It's. I don't want to call him not reliable. Right. It is just very challenging to get a fight scheduled with Conor McGregor nowadays.
And I do like that concept of if they both were to retire after that fight. I think
that'd
be very compelling.
If you did a Conor Justin Gaethje, Conor Dustin Poirier unfinished business retirement match, do you understand the level of pay-per-view dollars you would get for this one? It would be massive. It would be massive. And you know what? I could see Conor biting on that one too. That would be my dream way to see Poirier go out, either with Gaethje or Conor.
And then you could have a post-fight retirement party with cake.
Whatever.
I'm just hungry and I'd like some cake.
So, or if the Chandler fight doesn't go, maybe a Chandler fight? I don't know about that.
It's so tricky. I mean, I know we already covered this in another segment, but June 29th is every day we're getting closer to it. So
I don't think it's happening. I just don't see how it happens.
Finding a replacement, so that's always challenging to try to bring someone in with that short of notice.
And then, I mean, that event, Chandler's been waiting for this fight. How long does Chandler wait for this fight? I know we're going back to segment 1, but let's say you do have a quick sub in. Let's say you have someone, let's say, I don't know, Max Holloway comes in. great fight. But let's say Max win. That Chandler fight is over with Conor and him if he loses.
Yeah.
That's why it's a dangerous situation.
It's a very sticky situation. I
Yes,
agree.
it is.
Any final thoughts on Dustin Poirier, since that is the topic of this segment?
An amazing fighter. I think he still has more left in him. I'd say he has 1 to 2 more fights in him. I see why he's starting to think about retiring. He's lost a couple of fights, important fights. He's kind of that guy that's in it for titles, and that's what he wants, is a title. I was shocked that he has never been the champ. He's only been interim champ, because I think of him as a champ. And as long as you carry the belt, he was champ in my eyes. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that he has at least 1 more left in him, though.
We'll see. All right. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC MMA podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support really does mean a lot to us, so make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the show. Also, you can follow the podcast on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok for more content and updates. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to